Where feelings, where neglected, where not happy.
God, your woman impression is so spot on.
I'm telling you, yeah.
I need to pull me wire, hold on. So hello PJ, welcome back to the podcast.
Oh, are we recording?
Yeah.
Alright.
I don't really want to do the intros anymore to him.
Okay.
Because it makes it sound like you need to listen to them in order, which you don't. They're just conversations.
Right. Fair enough. Yeah, grand. Sound for having me back, hey?
Well, I just got ambushed you with the intro there.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. So, how was Tricks?
I'm not too bad, lad, you?
Yeah, sure, look. Grand, I suppose. Fucking getting a bit fucking worn down with this whole pandemic bullshit, but sure, look.
You'd fucking miss a pub.
Yeah, Jesus. It was, like, with pubs and all that kind of crack, you know, you kind of get fucking sick of them.
Yeah, when you go too often, you find yourselves just standing in a circle in the smoking area talking to the boys and kind of going, we would have had better crack had we stayed at the gaff. Like,
we certainly frequented a fair share of them in our day, and when you kind of once you're kind of heading towards the late 20s and that, it's kind of, the magic is kind of gone by that stage.
The kind of the same fucking motivation for chasing women starts to fade. You're not as hungry for it.
Yeah, well,
finally, like, it's still there, obviously. Yeah, you're always going to have that, but
well, you bowed out of that game a good while ago now. And sure, look, what was I going to say?
One less thing to worry about, you see.
That's it. But I was actually funny. I was getting coffee this morning when I was in the car. When I was getting petrol and I was getting coffee and all that kind of shit. I was trying to think of this fucking this old like parable. I read it somewhere, but oh Christ, I'm going to butcher the story now. But the parable was essentially about three men that were at different stages of their life. A young man, kind of a middle-agey kind of man, and an old man. They were discussing pursuing women, you know, and aging and all that kind of fucking thing. The younger man was like putting the questions to the two older men, and I'm sure I'm leaving out a lot of details here now and I'm butchering the whole fucking thing, but sure, look, when he was saying, you know, do you not miss chasing women and the thrill of the chase and the validation of, you know, the catch and all this kind of thing, one of the older, I can only assume it was the older man, their response to the younger man was, no, it feels as if a great weight has been lifted from my shoulders.
Yeah.
And that's definitely a thing. Like, sure, you know, when you were a young fella and you were fucking, like...
It is, like when you're a young man, especially, your late teens and your early to mid 20s, it's in the forefront of your mind constantly. And if, like, you're either chasing it or fucking setting up something that gives you ability to get it, you know, it's always there. It's almost everything you do is an action towards getting fanny some way or another.
Yeah.
And as you kind of get a bit older and that becomes like that kind of gets downgraded in your mind with time and with age.
Yeah.
If we had control over it, we'd fucking turn it down a long time ago.
Oh yeah. If it were up to me, like, you know, I would be photosynthetic. I wouldn't even have to eat.
Yeah, no.
Because it's just a fucking nuisance to me. Like the boys below in the house will tell you straight, like, I fucking lose the raisin if I get up in the morning and there's no milk there for fucking coffee or something. I'll fucking go absolutely mental because, one, the mornings are shit, especially if you have a fucking depressive kind of a disposition. That's where you're going to feel it.
I wouldn't even call myself depressive disposition, but I am very short with people first thing in the morning. And that's an anger I can't control. It's an anger I'm aware of, but I can't...
Yeah, that's it. In fairness, I think you'd be pissed off anyways because it's the fucking morning. Yeah. But, you know, if you're waking up and you're fucking depressed on top of this fucking shit... And who isn't nowadays, you know, and then there's no milk there for the thing that you need to function, and now you still have to get up and function, and as well as that, now you know you're going to have to go out and do this fucking laborious fucking task, going out to a shop and all that nonsense.
Yeah, your day is off to a fucking bad start.
Yeah, it's one of the few things now that's still kind of
all I wanted was a bit of fucking milk.
Yeah. It's one of the few things nowadays that kind of, you know, when you're younger and you kind of have all these fantasies about becoming like successful and rich and all this kind of thing, and then you kind of you live a while and you kind of realize that a lot of those kind of material things, that they're ultimately, you know, it's ultimately a very fleeting kind of a satisfaction that you get from it, and the novelty wears off very fast and all that, and you kind of want less and less. But what I've kind of come to is I don't so much really want anything. I more don't want to have to do certain things. And I don't want to have to go to the fucking shop to do shopping all the time because it drives me up the fucking wall.
Yeah,
so
like,
if I could sort out someone that would do that for me, but didn't have any ideas about, what does this mean about us? It means nothing about us. It means I don't want to do shopping. So like fucking that's the end of that.
Yeah.
If I could sort someone that would do that and pay him a bit of a wage and be like, okay, now I don't want you getting no notions about anything. Just fucking do that and we'll get along just fine.
Yeah.
That would be great. That would be a good thing now were I to become successful. But I won't hold my breath.
Oh, no, well, that's just a big thing with, I think, getting older as well. It's not that you want to be successful, as you want to have the ability to lessen hassle in your life.
Yeah, there's just things I don't want to do, Like,
I've often told the missus if I ever come to power, I'm hiring a driver just so I don't have to worry about driving anywhere, Like, wouldn't bother me going from A to B, but like, around cities I've never been in, I don't want to go with the hassle.
City driving is
especially
horrendous.
fucking Cork, the giant one-way system. Every fucking street you turn onto in Cork is a one-way street.
Limerick is as bad.
Is it?
Limerick is
I've not had too much hassle driving around Limerick, but then again, it's rare actually going to the city.
I haven't had that much hassle driving around Limerick because I seldom do it.
Yeah.
But Dublin is the worst. Dublin is a fucking
Dublin's
bastard.
the worst because like every cunt on the road in Dublin is the angriest bastard you'll ever meet in your life. So if you try to scoot over, if you ended up in the wrong lane and you tried to scoot over, the fucking 20 cunts would be behind you on the horn and screaming out the window and everything.
I'll tell you who's the worst in Dublin. Fucking cyclists.
Cyclists. Yeah.
Oh,
but they're
Jesus
fucking worst
Christ.
everywhere.
Oh my God. The entitled fuckers. Like, this is the thing that fucking drives me mad. There seems to be this kind of a moral high ground that the fuckers have. I don't know, is it because, I'm getting fit on my bike and I'm not harming the environment and all this kind of thing. They've got an attitude, like, that they're kind of, they're almost, victims of motorists. Look at you bastard in your car, and they really fucking treat you as if you were a child molester or something if you come close to them on a bike or something like that. But then you're there and you're kind of thinking, okay, look, you're on this thing that makes no sound, that has hardly any profile, and that if I look in my rear view, you're not there 1 second and you're there the next. And then I try to fucking turn off somewhere, and now all of a sudden you're there with a sour puss and you fucking barking shit at me with your fucking sanctimonious fucking self-righteous fucking attitude on you. So yeah, they're by far the worst. And then you've got all those ad campaigns going, like, we need motorists to give us this much space. It's like, yeah, fuck off. You need a fucking bus out over your skull is what
I
you
remember once I was coming back from work one day in a car, and I was on this fairly wide road that had a hard shoulder, and the cyclist was like, now this was like 100km/h road as well. The cyclist was literally on the road bit, not on the hard shoulder where there was plenty of room for him. It wasn't like the hard shoulder was uneven or full of potholes. It was grand hard shoulder, right in the middle of the road. And I spotted him at a distance because it was like coming over the top of a hill, and I spotted him, and I was like, this cunt's not going to move over. So fucking dropped the gear in the car, buried the shoe as fast as I can. Off the record, I was certainly well above the speed limit. And I passed him. Like, he must have heard the car. I was driving the fucking Jap import at the time with a big bastard loud exhaust. Definitely heard the car coming. Refused to move over. And I came out 2 foot from him, passing him. I was hoping the backdraft of the car would knock him off the fucking bike.
You just have to remind me of something there, actually. Well, for one, I was make an attempt at recording the podcast on my own channel there last night, but we did a lot of talking about the whole boy racer scene back in the day. But once you said that there, it just reminded me of the time we were in your car down in Cork, the fucking Mirage, and I think we were after a session and we were maybe going to the shop or something.
Oh, this was fucking, I threw you the keys to drive because I was too fucking shook.
Yeah.
Remember that? We're heading getting fucking some greasy food, I think is what was on the menu.
That's
there
it
for
now, fucking chicken roll or something.
We're heading out to fucking, what was Casey's or something like that, the fucking place that does the...
Oh yeah, KC and Sons out in Douglas, fucking Savage Tack.
I think we were heading there, and that's when you came out and said the most wonderful thing that nearly killed us all.
Yeah, the way I remembered it first was I thought you were driving the car, because I remembered that the car nearly got crashed, but then actually it stands to reason that I would have nearly crashed the car as well.
Yeah, because I think you knew where you were going and I didn't, and I was a bit too shook to be driving anyway, like I was hungover to fuck.
Yeah.
So I think I just threw you the keys and let you drive it down.
That's it. So tearing out the road anyways, out to Douglas, out to KC's, saw an attractive member of the contradictory gender
Somebody who's aesthetically pleasing to the heterosexual male.
To the heterosexual male, yeah. Staring away out the window there at her anyways, and sure, instinctively the pair of us were kind of having an old sconce. And
so something with a hangover as well. Like you're a bit
the drink
more giggly.
The drink horn.
Well, yeah, the drink horn as well, which is a definite thing on the record. Like after I had a night in the sauce, I'm just tormenting the missus all the next day. Like just fucking ride. But then the other thing is when you're really, you're hungover, you haven't slept well, and you're just kind of fucking giddy. Like it hurts to laugh, so you're trying not to, which makes you more susceptible to laughing as well.
Yeah.
So it's the slightest little thing will trigger you.
Yeah.
So it's even worse when somebody says something that's actually funny.
Yeah. So this young lady, anyways, and she had aesthetically pleasing hindquarters. And I made an old comment on this and the way I phrased it. Yeah.
Can I do an impression of you doing it?
You can, yeah, go on.
Yeah. So just pottering along the car, because there was about 4 of us in the car. It was you driving myself, and I think, was it Louis? Or maybe it was Hef.
I can't remember who. Probably Hef.
And there's somebody else in the car. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah.
Driving along there, and it's nothing but silence in the car, because we're all shook, hungover, just staring out the window, just kind of going, we need some food, and we don't know if we can keep it down. And along. And next thing, old PJ just goes, Jesus, look at me one, la. She's an arse like a little boy. Fucking killed us. I swear to God. Did you ever laugh so hard I wasn't even making a sound? Like it was just my eyes. It's like I was trying to impersonate somebody from Asia. Like, it was just in bits.
I did well not to lamp that car. Because I obviously authored the joke in my head, so I thought it was funny enough to say it. But what's funnier still was just the fucking hysterics the rest of them were in. Once other people are laughing and it becomes infectious, and then all of a sudden it's this fucking chain reaction of fucking just laughing like crazy. But yeah, that was very funny.
I just love the way you said it, like somebody who believed it. Like you clearly had rehearsed it in your mind and everything for the perfect delivery, and just an arse like a little boy.
Like a little boy. Yeah, like that's the gold standard there now.
Like you were picturing it as you were saying it. Like
yeah. That's
materializing.
That's what you'd look for in a woman now. Yeah, that was gas, anyways. But we were talking about the whole fucking car scene. Once we were trying to do the podcast, turns out like we recorded for about an hour and a half last night, and only after the fact did I realise that the fucking audio was completely and utterly cat, because of course I didn't fucking check it before started recording. And sure, you know the way I am. I'll fuck the thing on and I'll be like, I'll assume it's grand, and then I'll just give out like fucking crazy when it turns out it's not.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's precisely what happened. But we were speaking at length about the days when we were in fucking Jap imports, acting the bollocks and whatnot. And it was actually at one point, fucking John asked me, were you big into the whole car scene? And you were fairly big into it, but I was telling a few stories about the car meets and stuff that used to go on down in Waterford.
Yeah, that wasn't something I bothered my hole with.
Yeah, that was it, because I couldn't remember, were you at the fucking things or not?
Yeah, it was I had gone to 2 of them in the past. I even went to a car event. I think you might have been there. It was a Street Devils. I think we went down with Eddie at the time. But I'd been to a few car meets anyway, in quotations car meets, a bunch of lads sitting in a car park. And I went to the first one. I went, it's just a bunch of lads standing around talking about cars. Like, well and good and all, but like, I'm a man in my late teens and early 20s. I want fanny, and there's no fanny to be found here, like, Yeah. And I went to another one. It was the same crack again. We drove for like fucking 2.5 hours just to end up in a fucking little car park. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing with myself at all? Like, I'd sooner be at home now playing fucking Final Fantasy 10 or Metal Gear Solid or something now than
sooner be at home with me lad in me hand.
Yeah, just fucking finding targets and firing one off, like,
That's it, yeah.
But again, a lot of that was the crowd then as well, because I think a lot of the lads I was going down with were a bit too into cars, and it was a kind of if the conversation wasn't about cars, then they wouldn't talk to you, that kind of way.
Yeah,
lads, I love cars and I love talking about cars, but I couldn't do it for 4 hours straight. Like,
that's it. Now there was some of them, alright, that were fucking fairly shite. It was just like, hey, let's all go here, and then everyone was there, and you're all there in the cars, and it's like, well, we're here now, what next? And that's kind of,
well, the guards have been called, so we have to move on.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, sure, you could
set your watch to it, like.
Yeah, you had about 10-15 minutes before they'd show up, more often than not. But the ones down in Waterford, I remember, used to always be good crack. You had used to end up down the Port Road, and it'd always be lads messing around in twin cams, and Sylvia's doing fucking rings, and there'd be a bit of drag racing going on and stuff, and cops would show up, and invariably something would happen. Like, I remember one night in particular, there was this guy there, and he was doing fucking rings in. There was a bit of the bypass, and there was like a big shopping centre car park there, and that's where all a lot of meets happened in that place. But I remember there was some guy there, and he was doing rings, and for argument's sake, we'll say a Nissan Silvia or something like that. And in the middle of the rings, didn't the fucking wheel of the car come off? Something happened. The bolts and the car or something sheared.
Just fucking sheared the whole lot off.
Yeah. I don't know how it fucking happened.
It was probably fucking botched on at one stage or something. It's probably been only held on by 2 lug nuts or something.
Well, you see, the trouble is an awful lot of lads get too handy with the air guns, and they end up fucking stretching the threads and the fucking things, and then
and a lot of them air guns don't actually tighten it on the full way either. Like I've often used the old air gun or ratchet gun or whatever they go by, and put it on, but I've still gotten an extra half a turn just using my hand,
Yeah, oh jeez, you can't beat the hand.
And even at that, you have to drive the car for a bit after you put a wheel back on, and then check them again, because the wheel has to kind of fucking line up and rest in the axle before you, or in the...
Jesus love, that'll have to be hand tightened. But
just that'd be great, walking up to an old young one there, and it's like, listen, I know you're on your yokes, but I'm going to need a bit of a hand tighten or something.
Dim nuts need hand tightening, but, have you a wrench? Anyways, what happened that night, the wheel came off of this guy's car, and the wheel went bouncing across the fucking car park and ended up slapping into another fella's car that was parked.
Clearly making a fucking hefty dent in it,
I'd say so, but there was blue murder over it anyways, but there was always a bit of crack at those things. So those car meets and stuff where, you'd actually had lads doing fucking races and doing things that would get them arrested or in trouble, they were often entertaining to watch, but yeah. Like sure, the Boy Racer video that I made and all that, it's kind of harkening back to those days of once we were in our late teens, early 20s, fucking doing laps of town, because God knows we'd fuck all else to be doing.
Yeah, there really was nothing else to be doing. Small town Ireland, those fucking...
This is it. What I used to always kind of say in tip, it was always a choice of either, hurling or the rope. So...
Well, yeah, if we were to break it down to 3 categories, I'd say you either get into hurling, cars, or drugs.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
that's pretty much your 3 options when you're a small town Ireland.
Yeah, pretty much.
At least for a bloke, anyway.
Yeah, and I feel vindicated in my decision in so far as what I chose there. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, fuck hurling.
Yeah, well, sure. At least when you're into cars and you can kind of fucking look after them, and you can have a bit of pride in that. You have something to show. Ultimately it's a fucking money sink anyway. But
yeah, they are money pits. Back then, it was the Celtic Tiger years, and it was the tail end of the Celtic Tiger years. And the credit union, if you went in there and you asked them for any amount of fucking money, they'd give it to you.
Yeah, they'd probably offer you a double.
Yeah, they'd just fucking horse it out to you, no problem. And sure, myself and a lot of lads, we fell into that fucking trap. And, the arse fell out of the Celtic Tiger in fucking 2008. And then people were left with cars that they couldn't afford anymore. And now they had to shift them for fucking half the money they paid for them and whatnot. But, at least we weren't... Had we been a few years older, we might have been fucking saddled with fucking kids and a house, a mortgage and stuff that you can't pay now. And now... all of a sudden, the schwanky house you had, and you were all like, "Oh, look at me and my schwanky house." Now the banker,
chandelier.
Yeah. Now the banker booting you out of it, and you're up fucking shit creek, basically.
Yeah, sure. If we were born any bit later, then we couldn't afford any of it, and we'd be just depressed at home.
Well, that was kind of the order of the day, anyway.
Yeah, but sure. But here's the thing: back then, cars were expensive, insurance was expensive. But places were willing to give you loans at 17 and 18 and 19 or whatever it was, so you could still afford them in a way. Not really, but you could still pay for them. But fucking a couple of years after that, insurance and cars, the price of that stayed high, and then nobody was getting loans, and if they were, hefty interest.
Yeah.
Sure. Do you remember the time I had the Mirage, the Myvec one?
Yeah.
My first year's insurance on that was €3,300, and that was with a full license.
Yeah. Well, at least you could attribute some of that to the fact that the car could move. Well,
it couldn't till it couldn't.
Yeah.
To this fucking day, you had a similar problem with your 11 at the time, wasn't it? Where it was just a fucking anomaly in the engine where it just wasn't performing, and nobody you brought it that could figure it out. I was having the same problem with the Myvec. The Myvec wasn't kicking in the engine.
Well, it's not that
There
no
were
one...
4 different mechanics hadn't a fucking clue, and then I sold
Yeah.
it, and then whoever I sold it apparently either fixed it or just replaced the engine.
My experience of it has been that, like, often most mechanics, they don't really want to have to try and figure something out.
You do get that impression off a lot of them where it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, go on away with somebody else there.
A term that I've heard used amongst mechanics, I have a friend whose brother is a mechanic, and he used this term, and I found it quite funny, but Lego mechanic. So if it's not as simple as pulling something out and sticking something else back in, they don't want to fucking know about it.
Yeah.
So if you've got something like what was going wrong with my Levin was, and it's funny because now that this is a completely different Levin to the one that I have nowadays, and I actually have the same fucking problem with the one I have nowadays. But anyway, the fucking emissions, couldn't get it through emissions, wasn't anything got to do with the cat and like that. There was, there's a list of things that you normally go through that might cause a car to, or might cause the emissions to be out and whatnot.
With fucking Jap cars especially, it's
Jap
always
cars.
the fucking emissions, always.
Yeah, like they're mapped to run on a different octane level fuel, insofar as I know. Yeah, you have a whole bunch of problems, and then as they get older, they're disastrous. But anyway, these mechanics, they probably did have the ability to figure out what the fuck was the problem. They just flat out didn't want to, because that, if you had a job that was like, hey, the shocks are gone in this, and they're like, oh grand, so that means get new shocks, take those ones out, put these ones in, job done, that's however much.
They want a job, not a mystery.
That's it. They don't want the work of having to figure it out. And I think a lot of the time they'd just tell you, don't know. Like what I experienced a lot of the time was, I was often told, oh well, if we're to figure out what's wrong with that now, it's going to cost you more than the car is worth, because it's going to take X amount, and labor is €600 an hour, so and that's going to take 40 hours. So
Yeah.
those days, anyways, they were kind of miserable, because you didn't have a fucking shilling with the car. Like, by the time you'd have petrol put in the fucking thing, have it taxed, insured, NCT'd, which it was a very rare occasion when anyone would ever have all 3 things in the window.
No, sure. By the time I got done for all 3.
Yeah, did you get done for insurance as well?
They done me for the insurance, but they threw out the tax and the NCT.
The insurance is the dangerous one, though, isn't it? That's the one that they put you off the road for.
Yeah, they gave me 4 penalty points for it.
Jeez.
Which wasn't too bad, because they asked me what was the crack, because when they pulled me, they're like, why don't you vent on the window? And I just leveled with them. I was like, lads, I'm moving to the town I'm working in, I'm getting rid of this car, the insurance has run out. Well, I think it was like a day or 2 previous.
Yeah.
The insurance run out, I'm not going to insure it again for another year if I'm going to be driving it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I know I shouldn't have done it, but we're here now. And so when we had to go to court over it, and I basically said that to the judge as well, and the judge was just like, fine, yeah, we're just going to throw out the tax and insurance and just do you or the tax and the NCT, and we'll just do you for the insurance.
Jesus, dude.
And I was just like, grand, I'm not going to be driving for another while anyway, so.
He must have taken a fucking shine to you, because
Well,
normally...
see, what was worked to my advantage was, like, about 6 lads before me didn't show up. So he was like calling people, and he's like, next person calling, no, next person. And you could tell he was getting very annoyed that, like, people weren't showing up for the court dates. And he called, and I stepped up there, and he basically just asked me to explain myself. When I stood up, I didn't have like a fucking solicitor there or whatever.
Yeah.
So I just explained it to him, and he was just like, grand, yeah. And just sat in it for a few minutes and basically just said, okay, we're going to, was it the insurance? I think it was like did me like £200 fine, and threw out the rest, because he's like, look, if you're not having insurance, you're not going to be taxed on NCT in it either, like,
Yeah.
But to be fair to him, he went fairly light for what it was, like. And again, this was back when I was in my early 20s, maybe 20, 21, 19 even at a push, like, the law was a bit more lenient back then when on the road than what it would be nowadays.
Yeah, nowadays it's fucking it's a pure balls altogether. Like, they didn't have those yokes that read your number plate and they could pull you over then and go, you've no tax, or you've no NCT, or you've no whatever.
Yeah,
they didn't have those.
They could just rely on their own eyes, and then a phone in and a number plate check and everything. There was a big rigmarole in order to find out. Yeah.
If you didn't get pulled over or meet a checkpoint, you were, generally speaking, you were grand.
Yeah.
Not the case anymore. I remember the first time they pulled me over with one of those things. Jeez, I think it was about fucking like 2013 or something. And they pulled me over with one of those fucking yokes anyways, and they were like, oh yeah, we just did a read on your reg there, and you've no fucking tax. And I was just there sitting there, I was like, what? This is fucking Ireland, like. What are you talking about?
What are you doing with this technology?
Fucking technology. Fuck off, you cunt. It's like, this is something that happens on the telly. Yeah. It's like, who was after putting you up to this, you fucking bollocks? But
one of your neighbours reported you there in the quiet. That's probably what you were thinking.
Yeah, I thought it was more fuckery out of you, like how you used to fucking you used to come on with the fucking strobe light and fucking. I was telling this story on the fucking podcast I was trying to record there with my housemate below about the time. I think it was you and in the car, and I don't know who was in the car with me.
Yeah, it was me and the brother.
Yeah, and of course, because back then, you know, it was a sure thing that you were missing something or that you were breaking some law just by virtue of being on the road. You mightn't have been speeding, but you probably had no full license. You probably had no fucking, or you probably had fucking ball tires.
I was gonna say ball tires. Fucking, you don't have your L plates up.
Yeah. There was any number of things that you could have been done for at any one given time. So when you're that age and you're driving around in a fucking Jap import car, and next thing on come blue lights behind you, instinctively the first thing you'd fucking do is panic. So of course, I think it was myself and Flynn side in the car.
No, it was you and Eddie. You were coming back in from your gaff.
Was it?
Yeah, because the brother rang Eddie in the car.
Oh, fuck it, yeah.
So we had a live reaction from you there as well.
Yeah. That's fucking right, yeah, you bastards. Yeah, fucking coming in around the fucking foot of the rock anyways, and next thing, these blue lights appeared in my rearview mirror, and I was like, oh, fuck. Because I was driving a 1.3 litre turbo Lanza, which is a turbo Starlet. So the only way that any young fella my age could insure a turbo Starlet is to put it down on the fucking... well, it wasn't me that did this, but whoever like brought the car in from Japan, they declared it as a 1.3 Starlet. Now, this was done with all of them, without fail. I don't think I've ever seen a 1.3 Starlet. Or sorry, I don't think I've ever seen a Lanza or a GT Turbo declared as what it actually was on the tax book.
Yeah, it was the same with the Colts, the Myvex.
Yeah.
So the 1.6 Myvec ones were always 1.3 in the logbook.
Yeah,
just to avoid the heavy insurance on them.
That's it, because no one would ever fucking insure you in those things were you not lying out your arse to them. So, of course, whenever you'd see, you know, blue lights or the cops or anything like that, you'd fucking panic because, you know, you might just be going for a couple of laps to the town, but, you know, you might be getting done for fraud by the end of the night. So, you know. And
it is quite the extreme difference there, isn't it?
That's it, yeah. Like, anyways. So yeah, fucking here's me in the car panicking, and now that you say it, I remember Eddie there with the fucking phone. He's like, oh jeez, here, look, no, we're after getting pulled in by the fucking cops.
Yeah.
And I was there, for fuck's sake, you could probably hear me fucking and blinding.
That was it, yeah. So from my point of view, was myself and the brother were just baiting around the town, and you had gone out to your mother's gaff for some reason anyway.
Yeah.
And I gave you a buzz, and I was just like, well, lad, where are you? And you're like, oh, just on my way back into town there. I'll be on in about 5 minutes. I was like, oh, grand, got off the phone to you. And I was like, geez, you know, it'd be fucking funny. You have a blue strobe light there. If I just park in, there's a little industrial estate he has to pass by. If I just park in around the corner there saying nothing, and I was like, knowing him, he's going to be doing a hefty enough speed anyway, like especially coming in that road, he knows it so well. So it's like, I'm going to hide in there with this little blue strobe light, and the second he passes by, I'm going to shoot out behind him and start strobing it away. And sure enough, I did that. You fucking straight past. I tore out behind, turned on the blue strobe, and as I did that, the brother rang Eddie in the car next to you there. And the brother's like, well, lad, where are you? And Eddie's in the car. It's like, oh, lad, we can't talk now. We're after getting pulled by the fucking cars. And I can hear you in the background. Fuck!
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Fucking going mental. And cause that's funny because we were right behind you there with a blue strobe light.
Yeah, fucking the Perry, then the sneery heads in the fucking Perry, fucking cunts.
You know, you didn't talk to me for like 3 days after that.
Didn't I?
No.
Jesus Christ.
I think you just fucked off that night. You were so annoyed. I think I just put the shits up you so much.
God, it's not like me to throw a strap like that now, but that's it.
I think maybe it was just like for the kind of the dodginess of the car. I don't know, maybe you had ball tires or no tax at the same time as well. You thought you were fucked.
You can be damn fucking sure if it was feds, I was screwed, like, you know, because at any one given fucking time, I probably didn't even have a full license then, I'd say.
I don't think any of us did it. That's
no. Sure, back then, like, a full license was something that it was a suggestion, you know. It was like, maybe you should, but like, you know, you knew yourself a lot of the time. The consequence of not having a full license was your insurance would be a couple of £100 more expensive, maybe, and they'd ask you, where's your full license? And you'd be like, oh, I've applied for it. And then we go, oh, right, yeah, grand. And that would be it. That would be the end of it. But nowadays, different story. You can get away with nothing. I'd hate to be... Oh, sure, jizz, they do this bullshit now. They're at it a good while. But this whole thing, you have to do 12 lessons before they let you do
12,
the test.
12 paid lessons from registered test or learners or instructors.
Yeah. This country has a contempt against, like, well, definitely boy racers, but that's neither here nor there. But against motorists in general. Whatever it is, they can't bear the idea of a motorist having money.
Oh, not at all, yeah. Especially when you consider, like, fucking road tax. So, like, if you just consider, just because I know I have a few, like, people from the UK and America and whatnot listening to this, the car I have right now is a 2007 Jetta. Diesel, 2 litre, 1.9, whatever it is. Yeah. That's €762 to tax it for the year, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
Which is fucking mental.
Yeah.
And had that been a 2008, it'd be about 200 quid for the year. And that's the only thing differentiating them.
Fucking Christ.
So apparently anything... They didn't grandfather in old cars when they brought in the new emissions rule.
Yeah. That's it. Like, I had a 2 litre diesel Corolla there. Do you remember that yoke? I hopped it off a wall about 2 years ago now. Do you remember it was a silver 5-door Corolla?
That wasn't the one you put into a ditch when you were on your way getting fanny, was it?
Okay, well,
you were telling me the story. You're baiting out the road there one night because you had the prospect of fanny or something like that. And you had a bit too much excitement in your system and you went skidding off the road.
Yeah, it might well have been that night now. I don't know.
Because I think that was the disposable Corolla you were telling me about that you had for a few months.
Well, it was certainly fucking disposable by the time I finished. But remember, I brought it in here after the night I lamped the fucking thing. I remember the brakes failed in it. I was going down a hill. The brakes failed. I think one of the brake cylinders bust and like all the fluid went. And I was like, oh shit. So fucking couldn't stop the car and ended up hopping it off a wall. But it looked alright. Got out of the car and it was like, oh, the bumper is a bit shagged. I was like, fuck it, I'll sleep in it. So I went way home, went to bed, and came in here to you, and I was like, here, we might go away and fucking see if we can source a few bits for the car. And then you went to open the passenger side door and it wouldn't open because the fucking chassis was bent. So that was the end of that joke anyway.
Yeah.
But no, this country in general with motorists, they fucking railroad you for absolutely everything.
Oh, they really do.
Insurance?
Like, the only way you can save money in this country as a motorist is if you already have money to buy a new car and get cheap tax and insurance.
Yeah.
You know, and if you can afford a new car, you don't need cheap tax and cheap insurance because you can afford a new fucking car. You know, money's not as nearly as much as an issue.
Yeah. What really fucking vexes me is, like, you know, by the time you've bought the car, by the time you've insured the car, taxed the car, NCT'd the car, put petrol in the car, you're fucking in the poorhouse. Absolutely. But then the fucking thing now, and this is the thing that sets me off really bad. Oh Christ, I just go into rage every fucking time I have to think about it. You've got fucking toll roads everywhere then. It's like, you know, it's not enough that, you know, you've been railroaded out of all that money. But on the off chance that you have a little bit of change in your pocket, yeah, we want that as well. It's like, you know, God forbid.
The whole thing with those roads, though, like it's particularly the motorways of the M8,
yeah,
and whatnot. But like, is that because it was privately built, or just some sort of fucking thing like that where it's not actually owned by the government? Or
you see, they were owned by the government once upon a time, and I think how it started out. Now I might be wrong in this, but I heard the story from lads who would be in the know, so maybe I'm misquoting them or misremembering it or
just
whatnot.
Pub talk, so take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah. But my understanding of it was that the government originally like contracted people to do the roads, and in order to pay for the roads, they would set up a toll. Like the company who built it would set up the toll on the road, and that toll would remain there until such a time that the road was paid for, and then they'd take it away, and now it's a national road,
they turn it over to the government. Essentially,
yeah, they turn it over to the government, and now and that was it. But of course, when the old Celtic Tiger fucking died, the government started selling off any asset that we had, you know, to anyone who'd fucking buy it. There's like all the lithium in the fucking mountains that got shipped off. I think we had natural gas shipped off. Fucking, you had the fishing waters fucking shipped off to the Spanish, I think it was.
They got rid of the waters.
The waters are gone. Yeah.
What did they do? Just lip it up onto a truck there and drive it away?
Yeah, a couple of helicopters with buckets, lad.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Massive buckets.
You just go out there and there's like...
There's no Irish water now.
20 acres of ocean is missing.
Yeah. That's it. They just filled it in with styrofoam and said, right, there you go. But parking. Fucking parking. Christ almighty. That is the thing now that drives me up the wall. This bullshit of paying for parking. Fuck off. You've taken all of my money. You've taken every fucking shilling that I've ever fucking had so I can drive around this car. And now I want to stop for a bag of potatoes and I have to pay for that as well. Fuck off, you bastards. Like, I've been in court so many times over parking fines as well. Lord save us.
Weren't you getting parking fines for parking in front of your own gaff?
My own gaff, yeah, down in Cork, because the bastards wouldn't give me a fucking permit. And the reasons they wouldn't give me a permit were fucking nonsense.
Was it just because it's a public road and it's not a private, or it's not declared as private parking or something like that?
Well, no, they have a big list of like prerequisites that you have to meet before they'll consider giving you a fucking permit. And I can't even remember off the top of my head now, but
because I was in court over parking as well for a similar thing in the past.
Yeah,
but like probably a lot like yours as well, where when I went to court and we're just like, why didn't you pay the fines? I was like, because I live there. That's where my car is parked.
Yeah.
And they're like, how long have you been living there? I was like, about a year. And I've spoken to the parking inspector that does be walking by that I actually live here. I'm not fucking dumping my car and going in doing my shopping. This is where I live. And he just disregards that and keeps giving me parking tickets. And the judge just threw it out then.
Class, that's a sound fucking judge.
Yeah.
Normally they're cunts about it.
I think a lot of that was because I'd spoken to the inspector. Like, you know, I was just like, I actually live here. I don't know what fucking hoops I'm going to jump through. Could you just not give me a ticket and we'll just leave it at that? Like,
speaking of the inspectors themselves, like, you'll notice that pretty much I've never heard anyone give an account of them where they're like, oh, they were sound. I think when they're recruiting for that job, they do look for a certain type of ruthless cunt. Like I'm sorry if this is what you're going to do. Like, there is nothing honourable about that profession. And, you know, you can go down this road of like, oh, it's a job and oh, it fucking has to be done and oh, you fuck off. Just fuck off. They're the scum of the fucking earth. And if ever I get diagnosed with some type of illness that I'm not going to come out of, I'm going to take a few of those fuckers with me, or maybe not even take them with me. No, I want them to live in a lesser state. I'll do them. I'll hurt a lot of them.
Well, I have a proposition now, because inevitably me and you are going to take over the world, and we're going to have to divide it down the middle and live in kind of an uneasy peace, waiting for the other person to make a move.
That's it. Yeah.
But like during that uneasy peace, my proposition is I think we should abolish parking inspectors.
Yeah. In
their current form, but bring them back, and what they give people fines for not parking straight.
For parking gay.
Yeah, if they parked a car gay. Parked a car gay, lesbian, whatever. No, but if they parked a car like crooked or over the line or just a complete piss poor parking job, and that's when you get a fine. Not where you're parking, but how you're parking.
But wouldn't that be discriminating against women?
Would you? I actually heard a great joke the other day. It was a fella going, my girlfriend told me I should be more in touch with my feminine side, so I crashed a car and didn't speak to her all day for no reason.
They keep finding new ways to breathe life into those jokes.
They do.
Yeah, fair play to them. Whoever they are, these joke smiths.
But PJ, that's toxic masculinity you're talking about, dear.
It certainly is, and fucking long may it last.
Oh God, it's great being a man.
It's alright, yeah.
There's not one thing to be ashamed about. It's fucking great.
Especially when you get a bit older and the horn stops tormenting you as much and you stop putting yourselves in these situations that just fucking stress you out.
I have a theory that that's why men typically become more successful in their 30s. Why they kind of tend to get more career focused is because they're not nearly as distracted by the hop.
Yeah, the fucking...
they're not sitting there kind of going, oh, arse.
Yeah.
You know, it's that kind of level of it is toned back a bit. Not that it is fucking ever gone, mind you. Like, you know, you can certainly get distracted by a fine arse if one kind of floats in front of you. But
it always rears its head.
Yeah, but it's nice that you can actually pull yourself away from it, or pull yourself in general, I suppose.
Yep, that's it. I remember one of the lads. He was after breaking up with a girl, and he was a bit down in the dumps about it. His father came in, and his father found him kind of sitting there on the couch, kind of just, you know, with a big sad face in him. And the fella's name was Niall, and he turned around to him and he said, Niall, you have to remember in times like this, that job can be done by hand. So,
oh, very good.
Yeah, and sure enough, it cheered him right the fuck up. And never a truer word spoken.
Yeah, she's a luxury and not a necessity.
That's it. Yeah. So, motoring, cars. It's a whole endeavour as a young fella. That's kind of, you know, it's great in a sense because you've got a car. And the likelihood of you getting the ride has now skyrocketed because, you know, you
can travel to get it.
You can travel to get it, and you can get the ride in the car.
In the car, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was one thing I was going to touch on earlier. Is one thing a car opens up for, like when you're living in a small town in Ireland.
Yeah.
Options are pretty sparse on the ground when it comes to women.
Yeah.
You have a choice between one. Everybody is fucked, so you don't know what the fuck you're going to pick up off her. And when I mean everyone is fucked, I don't mean she slept with 20 lads. I mean she slept with all of the lads. All of them. You name a lad. If you're watching this with somebody right now who's a lad, he's probably slept with her. You know, that kind of level. Or you can go for the really fat, ignorant, ugly cunt who's probably also rode every other fucker in the town as well. You know, that's kind of your choice of women. Like,
pick your poison.
Yeah, that's it. And the thing is, if you travel to another town in a car, it's not that you're going to find a better woman. It's just you don't know their history.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know about the 50 lads she slept with. So she's fucking brand new and pristine to you in your mind.
Well, these are a certain kind of a subset of women that will, you know, might entertain you on the basis of the car you're driving. So
well, that's a lot to do with it as well. Yeah, sure. Geez, even when I was driving an old 95 Nissan Micra, I was getting the hop in the back of it.
Yeah. Myself and yourself both started out driving in Nissan Micras.
Yeah.
And it
was a friendship that was just promised from the start, you know.
Telling you about it. It's fucking yeah.
What was your Micro? Fast Finton, was it?
Fast Finton, yeah.
And then the other one, then the Purple Turtle.
The Purple Turtle, yeah. Purple Micra, fucking fantastic. Because we did some damage one time to a GEA pitch out the road from us. It was fucking hilarious because we had nothing but contempt for the GEA because when you're born in Tipperary, it's essentially assumed that as soon as you open your eyes in the fucking hospital, that, you know, you be handed a little Hurley and you'd be like, oh, hey,
yeah,
great stuff.
Do you want to play for county?
Yeah. Oh, he'll make a fine hurler one day.
Out there and run a few laps.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm 2 years old.
Yeah. Just kind of fucking shite. And that's what every, you know, father hopes for their son, that they'll play a county and they'll represent the family and you know, all these fucking shite.
See, that's why I didn't bother with one.
Which?
With a father, or just didn't bother with one.
Yeah,
like,
good shout.
I'd rather not have one.
Yeah.
I just willed it to be.
Yeah. You were your own father.
Yeah. There was no
and
man.
A fine job you did.
There was no man enough to father me, so I fathered myself.
But because hurling was so fucking front and centre to everything in Tipperary, you were never let forget about it if you showed no interest.
No, and then you see the kind of uplifting in life that hurlers got. You know, this kind of bullshit advantages that nobody else would get.
Well, they were never... If you did something in school and you were a hurler, there were little to no repercussions for having done that thing. However, if you did something in school and you weren't a hurler, by fuck, you were getting done. You were going to be made an example of. And it was always that kind of thing that like bred this contempt for the GAA.
That even happened later in life though, when you see these hurlers like after school when they're actually playing proper, where they get jobs in banks, and like you'd know these ones, and they're thick as pig shit. Like I wouldn't trust them with a bag of biscuits, much less a fucking bank account. Like.
Yeah, and then you're looking at stuff on the news. You're like, oh yeah, all the banks are fucking bust. The country's fucked, and then you're kind of like, could it have anything got to do with all those ignoramuses I was in school with who now work for the bank because they like to puck a bit of schlitter? The Savage Eye had a fucking great little joke about it, where they had this lad and he was pure vegetable, like, and was it Mihal, I think the character's name was, but they kept on giving these examples of him like throughout his life, where like a teacher would be coming down to him in the classroom, and he'd be there anyways, and he'd be fucking doing some bit of scribbling or something like that, and they'd be asking him where his homework was, and next thing he'd just be there, he'd go, and he'd just raise up this Hurley from behind the fucking desk, and they'd be like, oh, that's right, Mihal, sure, look, don't mind that now, and they just, he
get out of jail free card every time.
That's it. And like it keeps going through these different examples. I can't remember, but eventually it shows him at this job interview anyways, where they're asking him about, his qualifications and all that, and he just looks at him like, and he then again up with the Hurley, and they're like, when can you start? Kind of fucking thing. So yeah, the favoritism and the nepotism that for hurlers and all that shit, that was a big thing.
It was fucking systemic. It was ridiculous.
Absolutely. So of course, any bit of vengeance that could be gotten upon anyone affiliated with the organization, that was like a small victory that time. Like there was a bunch of us. I think it was myself, Flynn, Casey, maybe Hef actually, or was it you? I can't remember. But we had a full car, full micra full of lads, and
as we often did,
and we were.
That's probably how Tuesday started.
Might well have been. Like I can't think of anything that would give me a horn, like slighting the GAA.
And being in a Nissan Micra with 5 lads,
yeah. So you are in a Nissan Micra with 5 lads.
You're fucking like arse to arse, bust of a horn.
Yeah, that's it. Full of vitriol from this little victory under a corrupt organisation.
Windows tinted with steam,
or over a corrupt. Yeah. So we tore up that GAA pitch. Anyways, we were just driving past it one day, and we were like, "Fuck, the gates are open." So we tore in there in the fucking car, lifting handbrakes, and the guy who was charged with looking after the pitch, he actually lived across the road from said pitch, and he saw the fucking headlights going fucking mad.
I wasn't there for that night, so I'm assuming you must have done it around 2 a.m. or something, was it?
I know. I think it was about fucking 7 o'clock in the evening.
That's sheer cheek, is what that is.
Oh, sheer cheek, yeah. The way it was, like we just saw it. We were, when you're that age, you're as impulsive as fuck.
Yeah.
So we're like, yeah, we'll go and do a few handbrakes. Go on to fuck. So we did just that, anyways. And your man twigged it, and he ran out of his house across over to the. So you're inside in the car. You've got the wheel locked. The fucking thing is bouncing off the limiter. And all we could see was this guy fucking run towards us, go, wow, 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 wow. Like fucking, this pitch, he's probably...
What a beautiful pitch!
Yeah, he's been busting his arse for forever and a day on this fucking pitch, and now there's a bunch of little scroats fucking ripping it up in a Micra. So next thing, as soon as we twigged this anyways, it's tore out. And funny enough, like I knew someone that lived around that area, and apparently a good friend of his got blamed for doing it. I'm not sure, did he have a similar car or something like this, but
probably
they just
didn't. But like people of that sort would just kind of go, Yumfla, there's a Yumfla. It was probably him.
They assumed it was this other guy, so some other guy got the fucking blame for it, and it's like they had no idea who the fuck we were, and still don't.
What was the story you were telling me before about your man and the twirls?
The Twiddles.
Yeah. That's a great story, yeah.
Yeah, jeez, I remember we were pulled up down the village, about 3 cars pulled in, and we were just chatting there, a bunch of us, like 3 cars full of lads.
As you do, window down, like, just chatting out the window.
Yeah, all talking shite. Next thing, a car pulls in out of nowhere, and this owl fella gets out of it, and he goes over to one of the lads in the car, and he starts giving out mad to him anyways. And he's like, you little bastard, you were down outside my house the other night doing Twiddles. And he's just like, what? And he's like, I fucking know it was you, I know the car, you little bastard. I was inside in the bed, I was inside in the bed, and all I hear is the fucking car going mad, and you were throwing gravel in on top of the windows and everything, and all the cattle going fucking mental. And
doing Twiddles.
Yeah, you were doing Twiddles outside my fucking gate. Fucking 3:30 in the morning, you bastard. So this is, this was the crack anyways.
I love when people just use a really weird word for something.
Twiddles.
Twiddles,
For anyone else, it was rings or donuts. But I'm not sure. I don't even think the lad that was getting accused actually did at that time. But
yeah, I think you remember you telling me this story before. Man, so I was like, I've never been there before in my life.
He's like, "You are, you fucking bastard."
He just spotted a lad with a noisy car and went, "Fuck it, that's probably him." Like,
yeah, maybe it was a blue car, and he has a blue car as well. And
just on the topic, I'm going to be doing. I'm probably going to be mentioning this in the next video I'm working on about school stories and that. But
yeah,
do you remember Tobin back in school?
I do.
Anytime, like, fucking, was one day, like, he was facing the blackboard and he was writing down some shit measurements or whatever like that, and one of the boys made a paper airplane and picked it up and threw it at him. Next thing he turns around and, "Stop throwing them jets!"
Yeah, that was a big thing.
Jets.
Yeah. I remember we had a fella in our class, Smiley was his name, and he was notorious for throwing said jets, and it was almost like a fucking a soundboard or something that that he had, where he had a set amount of phrases, but one that he used to use about 11 times in any given class with regards to Smiley was "You boy, is that a jet? Get out." So you had those three things in that sequence in the exact same tone every day.
Yeah.
The same guy, Tobin. There's one story that I have about him, and it's absolutely hilarious. Now I must, he was actually a nice man. He was actually a nice man and a good teacher.
Oh, he was lovely, man. He gave me a lift to school once.
Yeah. So, that's it. So just to qualify that, he was actually a lovely man. Well, my experience of him was as such, anyways.
He was peculiar, but he wasn't a bad man. Yeah.
No, yeah. He was. That's it. I had much more time for him than I had for a lot of them. But this particular day, I remember, like, he had this kind of he was kind of like a Simpsons character almost. I remember there was one day in particular where he had left the classroom, and he was also a woodwork and construction teacher. So the lads got a hold of fucking staplers. So the big industrial
the big
type
ones for the wood staplers.
Those boys. Anyways. And they were shooting the fucking staples across the room at each other anyways, because, of course, great crack.
Why wouldn't you at that age? Yeah.
That's it.
It's a gun.
Yeah, but this was the kind of a peculiar mind that Mr. Tobin had. He came back into the room and he saw this, and straight away you just saw the colour drain out of his face, and he put his two hands up in the air onto his head, and he was like, Stop that! Those were designed to meet resistance.
Those were designed to meet resistance.
We were in fucking absolute tears laughing at this. Like, you could just see him. You could just look at him, and you could see inside in his head
the panic he'd shout out with.
Yeah. He was imagining the little workings of the mechanism inside wearing unnecessarily because they weren't being met with resistance, and he was absolutely killing him. Stop! You fucking going crazy. Yeah, but that was fucking gas anyways. But look, a nice man. I haven't a bad word to say about that.
No, he was grand. Yeah, because remember I was walking to school one day and pissing rain. Basically, he seen me walking up and stopped up along, and he's like, "Jump in there and I'll give you a lift." And I was like, "Oh no, I don't want to be in a car with a teacher."
Yeah.
But he was grand. Later, got a car. Didn't even say a word to me.
And Joe, the thing is, nowadays you couldn't do that.
No,
you'd be accused of being a pedo.
I'd get out of the van and FBI would show up, drag him to the ground there, and drag him away.
And if that didn't happen, you'd probably have a fucking young fella's father or fucking kick the head off you afterwards. Like, what were you doing, fucking pulling my young fella into a car?
It was even worse for him because he drove a white carpentry van. It was just a plain white van.
Yeah.
so yeah, technically a man in a van took me away to school.
Yeah, that didn't help matters.
No, amateur again. He was.
You boy, is that a jet? Get out!
The fucking panic. Stop throwing that.
Yeah,
somebody running through the streets as if there's been a fucking natural disaster or something.
He approached it like 9/11 was happening. Do you know? It's a sound man. Like fucking. We had the other guy then. Fucking Mr. Hickey.
Oh, Jimmy Biscuits, yeah.
Jimmy Biscuits, yeah. The author of Get Your Hand Out of That Gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember there was a fella in our class who he fired a mallet at for acting the bollocks. He just fired the mallet clean at him, and his intent was to hit him.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Like,
and he probably missed his mark because he was fucking steamboats. You know, he was always sauced. This fella,
that's the thing, though. He was so fucking unbelievably unhappy, that man, because his wife had died, and he was fucking. Apparently, he was very attached. I suppose as he would be to a wife, but apparently he was very fucking. it shook him, like, you know, that kind of way. He wasn't right after. And that's pretty much what to my memory, that's pretty much because he died while I was still in school. And he basically just drank himself to death, more or less.
Well, there's a lot of men, definitely of that generation, that like flat out wouldn't be able to look after themselves.
Just that, yeah.
Like they would not know how to make a dinner. It was just like that would be witchcraft to them. And if
there's a load of men nowadays that don't even know how to wash their own fucking clothes, like.
Yeah, in that generation, you know, he would have probably been married when he was a fucking teenager. And sure, back then, you know, you had your old gender roles back when the world made sense. But fucking
down on your knees and do your womanly duty.
Yeah, but I remember when I came back for second year, I think it was, possibly third year, not entirely sure, but it was after their summer break anyways, and we came back, and upon seeing me after the summer holidays, he said, "Oh, you were still alive, are you?" And I think within a couple of days he was dead.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, right.
Was he just waiting to confirm that I was still alive before he kind of fucked off himself, like, or?
Yeah, or was that what pushed him over the edge? Like, oh fuck, natural selection didn't take this cunt out.
To deal with this cunt for another year. Yeah. Fuck that.
But that said, yeah, in the grand scheme of things, like, I wasn't really a messer. I was too nervous in school. I was a ball.
Yeah, like a lot of people are asking me that because I'm going to be recording that podcast on my own soon enough. But one of those was like, what were you like in school? And I wasn't the funny one. I wasn't the loud one. I was fucking shy, self-conscious.
Yeah,
didn't like talking to people. I had a very small group of friends, and that was it. Yeah. Fuck it. I hated reading out loud in the class.
Yeah.
I felt you know, when somebody makes a joke at your expense in class, I'll get very quiet, bright red. You know, just like, fuck this.
That's it. Like, yeah, I would have been in the same boat. I would have been a fucking nervous fucker in school as well. And it was just over the years of once you're dealing with that long enough, you kind of go numb. You become comfortably numb, as it were, and then that happened. And from that point onwards, everything was a joke, and I didn't necessarily care whose fucking expense it was at. Was it my own or anyone else's? But once you kind of realize, hang on now, we're born into this world. We get to live for a finite amount of time. Most of it is spent doing things we don't want to do, and then we die anyway. Then you stop taking things so serious, and then you realize, you know, something. Nothing isn't a joke. Everything is a fucking joke.
Yeah.
So, you know. So look, the school of hard knocks was what gave me my sense of humor. I would
say like it's definitely like some of the funniest people I know have had like a fucking have come from like either they were very quiet or self-conscious, or like, you know, they've had like a bad upbringing or something like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like that kind of tragedy breeds comedy in that kind of way, where if you've had to struggle, then you can actually see the funny side of things a lot easier.
Yeah, like,
you know, because you've been through the ringer already. Like, you know, it's not much worse shit can get for you. Like, so.
Like, I'll tell you, like, my brother and sister, they're way older than what I am, because I was an absolute accident. The old lad got an old second wind, so he did, and he got.
Well, in your usual fucking fashion, you didn't turn up on time.
No, I didn't. I certainly didn't.
Way fucking late.
To me, that would be a terrible tragedy. I think. Imagine being a planned child, where you're just like, you know, it's like, yeah, we wanted to have, you know, two fucking kids, and you know.
My mother, God rest her, though, she never made any she never minced words about that. She told me straight out, she's like, no, you're the result of an antibiotic. I didn't realize an antibiotic cancelled out the pill, and that's how you were born.
So really, you could sue someone like Pfizer for, you know, years of unpaid child support or something like that. That's,
to be honest, I'd probably just chalk it up to my mother, because if she didn't know that, I've never met a woman that doesn't know that antibiotic will cancel a bill. So I'm chalking that up to her own silliness.
Well, they probably know, but you know, there's probably drink taken.
Well, sure, as I used to say to her, look, if it wasn't for that antibiotic, you wouldn't have your most important son, like, so.
There you go. Yeah, her living legacy.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. My brother and sister, because they're 18 and 19 years older than me, respectively. Like, I have a nephew who's fucking 2.5, 3 years younger than me. Like, what is he now? He's 28, 29. So yeah, thereabouts. So that was always a funny one. Like, I've been on loads of sessions with my nephew, and you know, I'd be introducing him to people as my nephew, and they're like, "What? Do you not mean your cousin or something?" No.
I went to school with somebody whose if this makes sense now, because I can't fucking articulate it properly in my head, but I think whose niece is actually older than them.
Yeah, that happens. That happens, yeah. But because the brother and sister, they're from, they're nearly 2 decades older than me. Their generation and what they see as being funny is completely different to ours. Like, I routinely joke about threatening suicide, as if to say, like, it'd be some kind of a fucking thing, like thinking about fucking maybe, oh shit, I gotta go and do this thing, I'd rather fucking rope myself. And I'd say something like that.
Just some, no, the milk is sour, I might as well go up and take a bath with the fucking toaster.
Yeah, this kind of thing. And my brother especially, his response to it was always like, Jesus Christ, don't say that. And I'm like, oh, fuck off. Look, I'm clearly not going to rope myself over, no milk being there. Well, I especially can't really do it now anymore because we since had a suicide in the family. Well, the extent, like, not my immediate family, but my extended family.
There's a bit more taboo in it now.
Yeah, an uncle of mine committed suicide in 2018. So now, it's not. It's just not.
It's just in bad taste now.
Yeah,
is what it is, yeah.
So I've had to dial it back, of course, because now it's fucking close to the bone, and that's fair enough. That's grand. But before that occurred, when there wasn't any instances of suicide in the family, you couldn't. It just wasn't something that you joked about. Whereas that's the type of thing now that, like, I kind of think, if you don't laugh, you'll fucking cry, because life is basically a series of tragedies, one after another.
There's a lot of stuff to be gained from humour, though. There's lessons in humour. Things are funny.
It's just great therapy in humor.
Yeah, just that. But even at that, like, humour can address problems that you couldn't address normally, or did sync with people.
Yeah, sure. Like, you know yourself, like, fucking, I'm no stranger to getting manically fucking depressed. I remember back in, this is something that seems to happen to me every couple of years, is I get a bad existential crisis that lasts me about a month or 6 weeks.
Yeah, you do get very down for a while.
Yeah, fucking terrible bad. But I remember one of such times was back in like 2009. It can be triggered by the strangest of things. Well, I won't say strange, but there was a fella that we both know from the town here who died from a drug overdose. And I remember I knew that fella, like, I was actually in the same year as him in school and spoke to him a few times. And now I can't say we were good friends or anything, but that guy died, and he was actually related to
another friend of yours,
a good friend of mine from the village. So there was another kind of a tenuous connection there. But when that guy died, despite the fact that I didn't know him that well, this guy who was same age as me, who I spoke to, was in classes with, all this kind of thing. Now all of a sudden trying to reconcile in my head that this guy was gone now and he was just in the ground and that was it. And as far as he was concerned, he never existed in the first place. And this whole thing, I couldn't leave it alone in my head. And then all of a sudden I was overcome with the whole futility of everything, and there's no point in doing that, and we're just going in the ground, we're going to die. But I'll tell you what got me out of it. Because this was about 2009. What pulled me out of that state of depression, I'm not joking you, was Hardy Bucks.
Hardy Bucks,
yeah. Do you remember the original YouTube series?
The good one, yeah.
Yeah.
The RT one had its moments, but the fucking internet one is fantastic.
Oh, it's the gold standard, yeah.
Shout out to fucking old Viper Higgins, who's still doing streaming nowadays as well.
Yeah, he is alright. Martin Maloney, Eddie Durkin, he's also got his own channel, and Owen Colgan is he's a stand-up comedian. I think he's got a show on RTE.
Oh, yeah, I looked him up on YouTube the other day, and I found his channel, but he doesn't really upload much, if anything, to it anymore. Like.
Yeah, it might be at the moment. He might be busy enough with the whole RTE thing. I saw a live gig of his as well.
You've met him. You've interacted with him before, anyway, haven't you?
I've met Owen Colgan a couple of times. Well, I met all of them as
one group,
a group, the Hardy Bucks, a few times down in Cork, down in the Old Oak. God, it would be a dream to collaborate with those lads now. But suffice to say, I fucking adored those early YouTube, the Storyland things. It was a competition that RT used to run, the Storyland thing. And I remember being morbidly depressed, and all of a sudden, this shit like that they were doing, like, fucking the Viper and fucking driving around doing laps of the town, fucking throwing cans out the window at Eddie and Buzz, and all the kind of the shy talk out of him. It perfectly encapsulated that whole, what it's like to be, kind of at a loose end in your life in small town Ireland with no direction, no nothing.
Yeah.
And it was something that I could relate to, so it made it extra fucking hilarious.
It was. It like fucking, because I remember me and you used to binge on him the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And quote him non-fucking stop.
Yeah, there was a point in time there where I'd say, you know, we could have fucking quoted every episode.
Oh, fucking, if anything happened to that show, we could rewrite the script, like.
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually the last podcast that I did with yourself. I noticed in a few of the comments there, I think I got a few comparisons from some people. It's like, oh, he sounds like the Viper. And it's like, yeah, there's no two ways about it. Like, I mean, I fucking watched a shit ton of that. So
some of the stuff we've watched coming up in the years has just...
It's just rubbed off on us.
It's got bet into us so much that we don't even realise we're quoting it half the time anymore.
Yeah.
Kind of way.
Like, I wouldn't like to be derivative, but that said, you can't help what influences you either.
Yeah.
And like that caliber of comedy and the way everything was edited, it was just all these little cutaways that they would have.
The cutaways got you every single time.
Dave used to fucking...
I'm guessing just based on the style, I imagine a lot of that was Viper Higgins.
I would imagine, yeah, because I think...
Because like his style, that style of the kind of cutaways and the kind of the music and everything, it's still very much present in his streams.
That's it, because he does like small little snippets of things that he interjects in the middle of the streams, and you can kind of see the style is one and the same, all right. But he's got a very good eye for it, and he did a stint on Russia Today doing the fucking the world news videos, and you can kind of see it in that as well. Now he probably had people helping him with that one, because the production value in that one like shot up through the roof. He had like little graphics, little pixel art graphics and stuff that were done for the you know, to bookend at the start and the end and all that. So I'd say there was, you know, he had help with it, but I would imagine he still had some input insofar as the editing was concerned and whatnot. But yeah, fantastic stuff. But yeah, comedy is a good fucking I won't say a cure to depression, but it's good fucking treatment. Yeah,
especially if you can find one like Hardy Bucks. Hardy Bucks was fantastic in a way that it was relatable, you know, that kind of way.
Absolutely,
because when you fall into a ball of depression, which, you know, everybody does every now and again, you do feel very much alone in that depression, you know, when everyone's around you, because, you know, so just nothing nobody can say, or there's nothing anybody can say to you that can pull you out of it. You know, you kind of need to manage that yourself, and it's very easy to feel some bit alone or fucking kind of isolated. But when you find something like that, when it's a gang of lads that have created something that you identify with so well, you know, there's company in that, in a way.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I remember being in a really bad state, and like the girl I was going out with at the time, I remember like she was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" kind of thing. And I remember I kind of put my existential concerns to her, and you can't really expect anyone to have a good fucking answer for those questions. Like, you know,
no,
like what's someone gonna say to you? It's like, you know, what's the point living if we're all just gonna fucking die? And, you know, the best case scenario is I'll have to live to see everyone else die, and then I'll die. So like, you know, you're putting this shit to people, and they're kind of looking at you like going, "Ah, man, what the fuck do you want me to say to you?" Like,
but that's the thing, that there is no good answer to an existential crisis. Like, especially if you're not like religious men like me or you. If you were to come to me depressed and say, "Listen, nothing fucking matters," my only answer is, yeah, I know. There's no good answer to it. I'm fully aware that nothing ultimately matters.
The only pragmatic answer to it is, it's like, yeah, look, this existence is futile for sure, but it's also the only show in town.
Yeah.
So you know,
you might as well knock a bit of fucking crack out of it while you're here. Like,
yeah, it's a zero-sum game in that, like, well, you may as well live it out, knock a bit of crack out of it, and then die, or else, you know, you can put a gun in your mouth and you can go now. The end result is the same. So it's kind of like, look, fuck it, hang around, knock a laugh out of it, and sure, then it's curtains.
Yeah, like, as long as you have feel good chemicals in your brain like dopamine and serotonin, you know, there's reasons to be staying alive rather than dying. You know, that's the kind of way I've looked at it. If you can find something that kind of makes you happy, even if it's brief, then that's reason enough to fucking not top yourself. Because you top yourself, you don't get any of that. Granted, it's no bad, but there's no good to it either. There's nothing.
Yeah, it's
there was one quote I used in a video before. Was actually a few people had reached out to me after hearing it, and they thought it was a very useful bit of advice for them, the way it was worded. And it was somebody had asked me in a Q&A, I think it was, would I ever kill myself? Would I ever commit suicide? And my response to that was like, no. As long as there's one person alive that would be happy to hear about me dying, I wouldn't give the cunts a satisfaction. And the thing that they enjoyed about that was the fact that it wasn't something like, you know, oh, don't kill yourself, other people will be sad. It's like, no, don't kill yourself because other people will be happy. Just attack it from the other angle.
That's it. But then you see, I'd see myself getting caught in a conundrum if I was playing that game. I'd be kind of like, hang on now, I don't want to either live or die to suit someone else. So what the fuck do I do now? It's kind of, you know, if I thought either outcome would suit someone else, that would piss me off. Anyway,
the big thing now for me, if I was ever pick one reason never to fucking consider suicide, is I have too much crack with the boys.
Yeah, crack with the boys.
It's like just one of my best memories in life are sitting down talking absolute effluent with the boys in a room, like, you know.
Yeah, and now you're doing podcasts.
Yeah.
Doing an old fucking Joe Rogan on it.
Yeah. Speaking of which, did you come up with a name for your own podcast that you're working on?
I've been experimenting with one. One of them, which I was going to call it Just the Tip FM.
Just the Tip FM.
Yeah, or Talk to Tip. I don't know the fuck. I don't know really. Open to suggestions if anyone wants to throw those out there. I was kind of thinking about trying to establish maybe a running theme for all of them as well. So if anyone has any suggestions, fire them my way as well. But one thing, like I was even talking to you about this. Oh, chairs collapsing. But
it just creaks and pops. It does its own thing. It's like an old house.
Grand. But yeah, so like, you know, as I've demonstrated even on this podcast now, I do have a penchant for talking about things of an existential nature, and I do like to talk about stuff that I know something about through experience, not that I'm qualified in any way, shape or fucking form. But
that was one thing I was talking to you before about podcasts and stuff. I think one area you'd excel, or at least all of us would excel in our kind of core group of friends, is talking about women and relationships to young men, essentially sharing our experiences with it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we're all fucking juggalos and fucking pimps by any stretch of the imagination, but we certainly have a wealth of experience and some good advice to give if young lads out there need it.
Yeah, that's it. Like, and you know, what I would say on that matter is like it's stuff that we've had experience in and we've gone through. That's not to say we're relationship experts or nothing.
Yeah, we certainly didn't win every fucking battle we fought in that regard, but
yeah, but there are traps that you can walk into. There's a lot of, like, you know, not knowing your arse from your elbow because you've got no experience, and because of that, then you might act the bollocks. Like when I was a young fella, like I let myself down very badly. So it might be easy for someone like me who's done shit like that to illuminate the way for someone else so as they mightn't do it. So
yeah, that's pretty much the kind of fucking
the
rock I want to hammer on is I've made a fuck ton of mistakes in relationships in the past.
Yeah.
In terms of like poor decisions, bad behaviour that I did, that looking back now is like I was such a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I suppose if you can point out those pitfalls to someone in the hopes that they might be able to avoid it or offset it to some extent. See, in a way, a certain amount of it is necessary as well. You have to make your mistakes. Like I'm better for a lot of the mistakes that I made.
Absolutely, like there's no better teacher than life experience, you know.
Yeah, like
that's what you were saying before. You can't put an old head on young shoulders, like.
That's it. I remember fucking for any Star Wars fans that are out there. I know you yourself, you couldn't give a fuck for Star Wars.
Fuck it.
Yeah, but
fuck Star Wars and all it fucking stands for.
Well, look, tis gone to
you know, people in the comments there going, "You fucking prick!"
I'm
Jar Jar Binks was the shit.
But sure, look, in the most recent and worst trilogy out of all of them, the new one, the most contentious offender being The Last Jedi, actually has a quote in it that I love. It's fucking Yoda, and like the whole thing in that is like Luke is all fucking he's after fucking up Kylo Ren killed a load of the fucking the Jedi pupils, and you know Luke is taking all this on himself, and he's like, fuck it, it's all my fault, I'm just gonna fuck off to this planet and stay there and fucking die there because I fucked everything up. And at one point he's visited by the ghost of Yoda, and Yoda is kind of like laughing at him being so fucking, you know, down in the dumps and cynical.
Oh, you're tick cunt.
Yeah. Tick cunt you are. But this kind of thing. But he says to Luke at one point in it, he says, failure, the greatest teacher is. He's fucking dead right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, look, it was a septic film, but that quote stands up. Yeah.
That's the only reason I think I could offer anybody a bit of advice is of the amount of fucking failures I've had in relationships in the past.
Yeah. But even I suppose, like, you know, just to kind of, like, at that age, if I had some fucking 32-year-old lad fucking going, here, look, this is how I have come to think about things. you know,
it might open your eyes to
yeah,
different things. Because like, geez, when we were fucking meeting young ones in our late teens, early 20s and so on, like the only people we had for advice was each other and other lads around our age that hadn't a fucking clue. Like
the fucking blind leading the blind.
Yeah, exactly what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck her off, lad. Just go off and go with another young one. You'll be grand. And you're
yeah.
It actually doesn't work out grand at all. No, you need to deal with that properly. Like
that's it, because you're being kind of puppeteered by your own insecurities at that stage, and then you keep going down this road of acting the bollocks, and then by the time you can see the wood from the trees, you've realised, shit, I've been acting the bollocks for years. So that's something that I'd like to do in podcast form. Another thing, actually, that your last podcast with Cynical Reviews, like I haven't gotten the chance to. I was only made aware of him once you actually did the podcast with him.
Lovely chap.
Yeah. He does like reviews of films and stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah. Like he all across the board from. Well, I'm not sure if it's good. I've only ever seen his bad ones, but they're the most entertaining where he's reviewing bad series and stuff.
Oh,
like that,
yeah.
Not his bad. He doesn't have bad videos.
Yeah, he's reviewing bad content or fucking
bad shows
films
and whatnot.
Yeah. That kind of shit. I love that shit too. Sure, you know yourself, and Dara. We've spent up.
We really spent nights just talking about like the ending of fucking Batman, or
that's it. The sun would be coming up, and we'd be locked horns,
screaming at each other,
talking about some inconsistency in some film and all this kind of shit. So I'd like to talk about that shit as well. Like, I mean, I'm a fucker for narrative. I love fucking character studies. I love really ambient, tonal films. Drive as being my favorite one, and I could talk for days about that shit. So maybe there's something there as well. I don't know. Like,
well, it's just a case of fucking sit down, hit record, and see what works for you.
Yeah, like
I will never tell anybody to create content for other people. Create it for yourself.
That's it. Like, say, it was actually advice that you gave me there not so long ago. Because I was basically saying to you how fucking pissed off I was that the content that I have chosen to make takes as long to make as it does. So I wanted to be putting out more stuff to grow the channel. Like, I haven't gotten my fucking channel monetized yet. Now look, I suppose I'm only at it consistently about 7 months. So,
yeah, as I was telling you before, sure, I was at it for about 3 years before I gained any kind of notable traction. Like,
yeah, Jesus, that's a one good distinction between the pair of us now. You way better fortitude like that. I was never really a man of patience. Yeah, so I was kind of saying to you, like, fuck it, I need to do something else to diversify this kind of thing. And, I'd comments coming in going, oh, you just fucking stream games. And like, I was like, yeah, look, I suppose I could, but I don't want to relegate myself to just doing that, because I wouldn't find, it'd be good crack, and I'm sure people would enjoy, me losing the rag playing fucking games and whatnot. But, I wouldn't find it overly satisfying. Look, it would be good fun, but
it wouldn't fulfill you as as something you can pursue.
Yeah, like, say, like the last podcast that I did with yourself there, we had a fella that asked for a bit of advice, and I actually found it, I liked to be in a position where I was trying to give someone practical advice.
That's the thing. If you want to fucking help somebody out, especially young men, something we can identify as being a young man and struggling and fucking dealing with crippling anxiety or the pressures of women,
Yeah, or if there's any young women out there that think I might know something that could fucking, I don't know. I don't know.
Hey, listen, if there's women out there that need advice on the particular behaviour of their fella that they may need to figure out.
Funnily enough, now that I think of it, there is actually advice that I could give to girls in a way, because actually, like, I've got a bunch of friends who are girls, and one of them was in a relationship with this fella, and she was basically putting it out there that, like, the guy was kind of, he was spinning all this contrived shite as to why the thing couldn't be kind of more public or whatnot. It was a kind of relationship that kind of existed behind.
He wasn't making it official in a way, was it?
Yeah, it was kind of all behind closed doors and whatnot. And she was kind of, he was obviously a very convincing fucker. Like, he was well able to fucking to bullshit. And he had done a number on this friend of mine where he was basically not really being upfront about things, but they were going out insofar as they were concerned. So they were exclusive, but his entire life was segregated from hers completely, so she didn't know any of his friends really and this kind of thing. And like, I remember she was telling me this story, and I was kind of looking at her and I was like, Yeah, he's cheating on you. Like fucking.
Yeah,
it's
so
like,
he's either straight up cheating on you, or he's no interest in getting in a relationship with you proper.
yeah, that's
he's,
it.
You know, he's like, why pay for the cow when I can get the milk for free here? Like,
Yeah, a lot of lads who are acting the bollocks, like it's often, you know, what's at the bedrock of it is some kind of a fundamental insecurity that's driving them to act in such manners. And people who are very insecure, they're often liars. So, you know, and I could speak from experience. I definitely spun a few
yarns, all right, yeah.
A few tall tales. And, you know, it was all because you've got this death fear of the truth. Oh, fuck, if anyone finds out what I'm up to, you know, or what I'm really like, all this bullshit. But I remember I said to this girl straight out, I was like, listen, that guy is fucking cheating on you. That guy, he ain't fucking towing the line. You can set your fucking watch to it. You're no more exclusive with that lad now than fucking Shep the dog. And he's definitely making a fuck out of you. Yep. And like he's covering his tracks with all of this fucking bullshit reasons as to why you can't meet his friends and all this. It's because, you know, he doesn't want tales going back and forth. Like someone might let slip something that he don't want you to fucking know, and he somehow fucking convinced you that this is
I recognize this because it's something I or my friends have done in the past that I would absolutely cover for them for.
Yeah, that's precisely it. Like
because you're my female friend, I'm going to let you in the trade secrets here. He's making a cunt to you.
Yeah, that's it. And sure enough, I'm not sure was it exactly the case, but all I know is shortly afterwards that it was done.
Yeah, well, that's it. Sure, Jesus, I just know from back in my days now when I was kind of whoring myself around the place how I kind of managed
dirty whore.
I know, yeah. But how I managed it was I would literally only ever text them when I wanted the ride. And it was...
Bastard.
Could have been 2 or 3 weeks between. You know, I was absolutely not letting it get one bit intimate. Got to the point where like I was extremely uncomfortable even cuddling after sex. You know, that kind of way where I was just like, oh, God, no, don't want that. Like, I'm here to scratch an itch, girl. Like, you know, it's kind of fucking...
Yeah, it's weird because you're compelled by, you know, the hormones and the Mickey and all the rest to attain the ride and whatnot. But then you're just ill-equipped in absence of said hormones and all that to deal with any affection that might come afterwards.
Literally caught with your pants down, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, say like the pair of us, we wouldn't have come from like, you know, affectionate upbringings, if you will.
No, not at all. Yeah, not really a fucking affectionate
Fiction.
family. Yeah, like just...
The fuck is that? But yeah, so it was kind of this thing that was weird, or it felt weird. Not that it
felt
weird,
very uncomfortable,
but it felt for someone who was, you know, never acclimatized to it. Really, that whole thing is something I never really improved on, and at the moment I'm not really fucking too bothered by it. I've come to realize I'm fucking very happy in my own.
Yeah, I was just going to say, with the absence of a relationship, is there any need or even ability or opportunity to work on your intimacy? You know, that kind of way.
Maybe not, but
your affections and whatnot.
Yeah, it's just not a fucking priority at the fucking moment, really. To be honest,
you'll walk into the old roommate there. Cheers, lad, you're looking well.
You're wearing the shit out of them pants, lad.
Oh God! Get the haircut, did you? Come here and I give it a feel. It's a lovely head you got there. So I think we'll wrap it up there then. We've talked long enough now, and I don't want to be spending all week mixing this down.
Yeah, there's probably a fair lot you can end up lapping out of that now, but sure, look.
Probably not. Sure, we'll see. I don't know. People, I think, will enjoy it in the more kind of raw format where it's just come join the conversation kind of way.
Maybe, and if they don't, fuck them. Fuck off and watch some Personality Vacuum playing a fucking game.
Yeah. And on that lovely note, go subscribe to PJ.
yeah, you cunts.
Yeah, so we leave this episode here. PJ, thanks for coming along.
Not a fucking bother, bro.
If you lads enjoy the podcast, you want to see more of PJ, I recommend checking out his channel, see if he has an episode of the podcast up, because I don't know when this episode's going to go out, so he might have it done by now. But
God willing, yeah.
Probably over on your own channel, is it? Just a tip?
Yeah, like I said, I haven't managed to get the cunt monetized yet, so a podcast will probably do wonders if there's an audience for it, for the old watch time hours, and that would be great. Yeah.
And sure, if it's not up, go subscribe anyway, just so you're prepared. Hit the bell notification there, so you'll know.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's so good.
It's right good. So it is.
He'll buy you a pint if he sees you in public then as well.
Whenever the fucking pub's open.
Yeah. It's not really a good fucking prize, really, is it?
Yeah. I'll post you out. I owe you a pint.
Yeah. An envelope filled with cider or something.
yeah, dip it. Post him a can. I could post you a can.
Post you a can.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh God. Don't make that promise.
Yeah.
Right. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Good luck.